Hi guys, it's Alicja here and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be roasting your art accounts because you want me to, and obviously you like paint, so I deliver. Few of them I'm going to actually correct. I'm going to guide you through what to change, what really works way better. There are so many really obvious mistakes that you can change, that are so easy to change, but you just need to understand what's wrong and find it, catch it, kill it. Make something new. If you like this kind of content, give this video some love. If I see that you really enjoy it, I'm going to do more, obviously. So let's go through the accounts that requested my roast. Alright, so we see Cocological Art. I see a lot of interesting drawings, so let's take a look at this. I really like it. The one thing that I see it's missing is depth, like more depth, more shading. You can take a look at her hair and it's really flat. Like it has a lot of lighting on the right side, on the left side it's just flat. It has details for like where the hair is, the texture of the hair, but the hair itself doesn't really have any shading. Let's see, this is really nice. And this one, I think I'm actually going to take this one and draw on it. I'm going to correct it because when I look at this drawing, she's supposed to be doing something like this, like, you know, her head is like there. So she looks, take a look at this picture and you can feel the tension in her body. We as people, as humans, we can look at someone's body and see the emotion, the tension may be there. All of the things that are happening, we are able to detect that. So when you make a mistake like that, it's detectable. So she's really like not in a comfortable position. You can see that. So I'm going to take this drawing and I'm going to change that. Let's move her head. So first I'm going to move her head. I'm going to select the hair, like try to select the area that's going to be the easiest to move. All right, let's not move only her head. Let's add the neck to it. You can see that right away it looks better. She looks more comfortable, more natural. Next thing I see is a lot of shading mistakes on the face, but also nose and lips area is just a little bit too high on the face. So let's just bring it down. When you are able to detect those things and correct them, you can make amazing changes in like seconds. So that's why I always say, like, analyzing the drawing and being able to learn from that, take actual useful information from analyzing. This is the part of drawing that not many people talk about, which is really important. All right, and now the vibe that I get from this drawing is, first I want to analyze, I want to understand where the light is coming from. So looking at the nose, I can see that the light is coming from her left side. So I can see that this energy of the light coming from the left side is not being kept in the whole drawing. So we're going to correct it. We're going to keep the energy of the lighting in the whole face. Also, the shading next to her eye, it's done a little bit lazy. It's not round enough, so we're going to correct that a little bit. You have to remember that those small things are also important. You should not get lazy on those things. You can get lazy on many things, but not those things. Also, you can see that I'm adding a lot of the same light on, like, also the lips. The lips should not be darker than the cheek. You have to remember that the area of color, it's going to continue when you have a light from one side. It's going to be continuing in almost the same shade on the whole area here. So a little bit of shading, of course. There's going to be different shades here, but don't make the differences too big. Now we're going to add a little bit more shading on the side here. Why? Because the shadow coming from the nose is a little bit stronger than here on the side. Since there's hair on the side, we need to make it here a little bit slightly darker also, although the hair is white, so it can reflect a lot of light. It's not necessarily super realistic to make it darker than it was before, but drawing illustrations like this, you are obviously not going for realism, and the better choice is to create a little bit more of contrast. We want to differentiate between the face and the hair. The hair is white, the face is also really bright, so it's nice to have a little differentiation, a little obvious shape, since that's not only going to nicely show the edges, show what's the face shape, but it's also going to take more attention from the viewer to the face, which is important since that's one of the most important things in illustrations like this. And there's a lot of black here, so I want to come back with that black. I want to add some more of the line, again, showing the face, like the line around the face. It's going to make a big change. You can take a look how much of the difference it will make when we make this line thicker. Because there's no reason to make it so thin when other lines are sometimes, in some areas, thicker. You can now see how big of a difference it made just to add those thicker lines. Create some contrast, some value contrast, create some line contrast. Also, I feel like eyes are getting a little bit lost, so that's why I am adding a lot of contrast to the eyes. I'm shading it a little bit more. See me doing here is just basically applying the changes that I was talking about, but also rendering them as I go, because I can talk about the changes to add shadows there and there, but I also have to like make it a little bit smoother and actually just make it work together. So it acquires knowledge of anatomy, because this is what I'm doing just from my head, or for beginners like maybe you are, it requires a reference, and that's when you can actually add those soft shadows. You can see me, I am working with really soft changes. I don't make anything strong right now because I just want to refine the face, render it slightly more, make it truly 3D. Also adding some strong black shadows to the lips just to make it pop a little bit more. Why not? It looks good. And I'm going to take the skin color and cut the lip a little bit to give it a little bit more of the perspective. It looks way more 3D now, even with only one straight line that I added. Another thing that I don't like, another just clear plain mistake, is making her head too small. So we're going to elevate it. Why? Because there's so much volume here. When she's looking like this, like there's so much head that you didn't show, and also hair on top of it that's giving it even more volume. So we're adding that volume not only to make it look better, the whole silhouette of the drawing is better, but also it's more realistic. So win-win. Now I want to take a look at the hand and give it also a little bit more contrast. I know there's some magic happening there that she wanted to showcase, but it just looks like she has some kind of something happened to her hand. I don't know, like did she beat someone up? Maybe she looks like one that would, so maybe, but still, just make more contrast. We need to think about volume contrast a lot. Volume contrast is the one thing of contrast that you should think about most of the times. So I'm not going to take too much time to do that. I just want to show you how it's going to change a lot. I also want to like make some space between the hair and the hand, because again, value contrast, value, which is dark and light colors. So the hand stands out even more. The hands are taking some of the attention, and you have to be decisive. So if they are going to be taking so much attention, make it intentional. Also making the silhouette even more visible. Again, number one thing I was working with was the value contrast. So let's make the silhouette, her white hair, more definite, more confident in this whole drawing, and then it just looks way more professional, way better when you apply those things. And one last thing I want to change is that little piece of clothing. Let's make it flow down. Let's give it some dynamics flowing down. So this piece of clothing is not just so it doesn't look like some accident or something you were not sure about. Like make it confident, make it like make it go one direction. Yeah, this is all I wanted to change. There obviously could be way more things, but those are the things that I think you should apply in your art. Look at the difference, how much more natural she looks in the corrected drawing. Also, the fact that the circle is now above her head also makes the whole composition way better. The composition of it all became way better, and she's just way more visible. So yeah, work on value contrast, applying, and think about the anatomy, the feeling that you get when you see that there's something wrong with your drawing. Just look at it and think like, what is she feeling? Maybe so many times you can just look at it and feel like, she's a little bit tense. There's a reason behind it. So try to analyze things in that way. All right, so let's continue and go to the next one. All right, so Scribbles by Criti. Let's see. What can I roast? Oh my god, I really like this one. I think your art style is pretty developed so far. I think the newer drawings are definitely better. I think this style with like sketchy brushes, sketchy vibe, it's really something for you. I see it's really working well for you. I can see a little bit of laziness in finishing this drawing, because you can see how on this right here, I was like, whoa, this is so pretty. This is so well done. Like the perspective, I like how the tits were shaded, everything. I mean, the arm is right here way too thick. But then I can see how the finishing is not exactly well done. I think you did go a little bit lazy with it. Not only with the rendering, not only with the details, but also with the whole composition. So I would work on that. Yeah, for this girl, I would just say the same thing. Like this person is doing something like this. I think you can either like take a picture of yourself if you don't have a reference. But look at this creature and think about, what do you feel, creature? What if you would be that creature? What kind of muscles do you think it would be using? Or would it be tense? Because I feel tense again when I look at this creature. Like it's not flowing naturally, it's not flowing comfortably, you know? So think about it, and what could you change to make that feeling when you look at it go away? Oh my god, the fuck? What is this? Okay, this is a finished drawing. Alright, I can see right away that the face is kind of gone. Okay, I am not going to correct this because there's just so many things wrong with it. I'm sorry for saying that. What is happening? Okay, well, think about anatomy more. I can see that rendering, you're doing it pretty well. Like, you are good with shading, with rendering, adding effects. This is all beautiful. If I like squeeze my eyes a little bit, squint, it looks okay. Or when I look at the flowers, if I ignore those fingers, it's beautiful. Those flowers, Picasso, I swear. This, I'm sorry, but this hand, no, the whole, there's no anatomy here. There's literally no anatomy. You know, you're good in shading. You probably know that. Do you know that you're pretty bad in anatomy and pretty bad in sketching and making the body, the body look like a body? Well, now you know, so work on that. But don't be too sad, because your shading is beautiful. You have one thing that you can do really, really well. Just work on the other. If you would do this drawing with the right anatomy, it would be great. Okay, you wanted me to roast you. Number one thing, why is one eye smaller than the other eye? You guys know I freaking hate that. Make the other eye as big as that eye, because no matter how much you try, you can't find the difference in the height of this eye and this eye unless you go like this. If you were making some kind of eye like perspective drawing where the person is really close to the camera, okay, yeah, there's still a small difference. I don't know if you noticed that, a really small difference. But from a normal perspective, this eye is going to be as big as this eye. Maybe shorter, obviously, covered by the nose as you go like this, but it's going to be the same height. You have to work on the background. I can see that the background is just half-assed. No one is making you draw a background. I don't draw backgrounds. I don't like backgrounds. But if I do want to draw a background, I actually commit to it to make it look good. Because when you don't commit to a right background, you want to make some kind of landscape, but you don't commit to make it look good, it's going to destroy everything. So either don't do it or do it well. Okay, this is interesting. This is an interesting account. Let's take a look. All right. Well, this is good. This somehow is way worse. And I'm going to actually take it into my Procreate and show you one simple thing. One really simple thing that I can change, that I can see right away, that will make it all look better. And you probably assume it's the puffy thing, and it is. All right, so number one thing that I feel like is missing in here is the hand that you drew, because I can see how beautifully you draw the freaking leather. The leather, guys, if you have never drawn leather, it's really hard to make it look good sometimes. At least it was for me when I was first trying it out. And this hand, you just make it go away, you lose the hand. So we're going to draw around that. We're going to change the placement of the puffy white little thing. Of the value contrast, we are going to work again with value contrast, because there's not enough value contrast there that would make it look really good. So when you make her hold that thing in her hand, which will be creating this silhouette of the hand, it's going to divide it from the rest of her clothing. It's going to look so much better. So this is going to be a really quick fix. Let's do that. I obviously think about the composition. Composition is really important, even more in drawings like those where the pose, everything, the main character is so important. It's only the main character, so the silhouette, the composition is going to be really, really the main focus. So let's work on the composition. Let's make it flow in a direction. Let's make it go from up to down, like slowly. And you can see how much it gives to the drawing, how much better the composition becomes and the contrast becomes just because you added this little change. Sometimes it's not about the skills of how well you can draw something. Sometimes it's about your brain and being able to come up with the right decisions. Because your initial idea is not always the best option. Alright, and you can see already that it looks better. You can see how the composition is so much nicer. You can see the hand. It just looks more professional, because this is the approach that professional artists take. They want to showcase the right things. They think about those little decisions or big decisions that change a lot. And if you wanted to make it really thick on the bottom, I'm going to make an option for that too, just to show you that it's not necessarily about the composition of that clothing, although it is a little, but it's mostly about the value contrast. And also the rendering. I don't think the rendering was then done well. Sometimes you can over-render some things. I think you should under-render this piece of clothing, just like I do, just some stroke, just some things, and it looks good. Alright, I'm not going to overcomplicate it. This is the finished piece. And yeah, just think about those things more. Okay, it's nice. I like there's a lot of diversity in your art. I feel like this is the style that you are really shining in. I think this is way better than this. This is there's so many things wrong with it that I don't know if I believe that this and this is made by the same person. And it's even made later. I'm sorry, but for this is beautiful. Like there's almost nothing to complain about. I mean, you know me, I will complain about something. I will just experiment a little bit more with more contrast on her face, slightly more maybe, and more details, because I can see that this is like a little bit more of a scratch, like a not finished drawing, but I like it. It's nice. So try to maybe continue doing this style rather than this style. Just a thought. This is really pretty. Also, this is scary. Alright, Siren's Tail. Ooh, can see something beautiful. This is beautiful, but there's many things I can see that are wrong. The neck is giving me like, why is the neck doing this? Do you think when I do this, do you think I am relaxed? Like, no. You are a big fan of rendering, adding details, but you should know that too many details can be so bad for your drawing. And this is the case. Everything is so beautiful. Like, I even love the way that the necklace is laying, like following the shape a little bit, actually a little bit wrong because this is so flat here. But this is making her look so tense, and I don't understand a lot of shading down here. So let's take it into Procreate and let's work on that. And I'm going to just show you what I would change here to make it look more professional, more well done. Okay, so one of the things I noticed was the earring was not hanging down. I don't know if it's such a big problem, but if you want to make your drawing so finished, then finish it well. So that's fixed. So the next thing I want to change is I can see that there's not enough shadow, not deep enough shadow, which again brings us to what? Value contrast. So we're going to add some shading and add a little bit more value contrast in this area. Why? Because there's dark hair. This not only it's in the shadow because the light is apparently coming from somewhere on her side. The shadow should be a little bit stronger and there should be just a little bit more use of black. Also, I'm going to get rid of the shading on her cheek because there's no reason for the shading for the cheek to be so shiny right now. Because other things are not shiny on like her shoulder. There's no consistency in the shading in this drawing. There's some, but a lot of the shading is just so random. So we're going to correct all of that random shading and a little bit about the anatomy. So another thing I don't like is how the colors are so different on her face. Like there was different tone on her lower face, on her higher, the cheek and stuff. I want to connect the colors a little bit more together so it becomes one shape, just like I said before. It becomes one shape of color first, then we are going to shade on top of that. Right away she looks a little bit better, a little bit more healthy maybe even, because often you have different shades of color in your face when you're sick. So our brains will think like, oh, she looks kind of sick. You don't want to make this kind of impression with your drawing. Of course, there are so many colors on the face, but this was just a little bit too big of contrast. And also, you should connect those things here. There's a line like going through here. So try to keep those things connected, not like a cheek and then here. No, connect those things together and you will have way more connected, way more balanced composition of the face shading. We also take the liquify tool and change the face a little bit because I can see that there are some inconsistencies. Her head looks a little bit flat. Why? There's so much shading. Why does her head look a little bit flat? Because the anatomy, the lines, the shapes are wrong. The forehead a little bit too much to the front, so we're going to bring it back. We're going to also elongate the front of her face a little bit to make it more face-like. And then when we move the forehead back, she already looks way more 3D just because of the right anatomy. Sometimes when you don't have the right anatomy and the right just base guidelines, no matter how much you're going to be shading, you can't shade on something that's wrong. Just like you can't build a building on like mud. It's going to be sinking. This is also sinking. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more light on the bottom of her cheek just to make the silhouette, just to make her face a little bit more pronounced. I'm going to add more stronger light there. And now you can probably notice that there's a big mistake that is caused by me right now, which is that the neck is too dark, which should be the same color as the face, since almost the same color as the face, since it's facing the same direction. Almost completely, so it should be the same color. We're going to make it the same color. We have to make it fit. So just like I said before, we have to keep the energy of lighting, of shading everywhere. Since the light is coming really a little bit more from the back. We're going to make the tits shaded a little bit more as if it's coming from the back, because then the whole drawing will come together, because the lighting will be more realistic on the whole drawing. Because now the body looks good. I mean, it doesn't look so good because it's kind of muddy right now, but I'm going to change that. So we're going to shade the dress because the energy should be kept on the dress. I think, I mean, even though I added some shadows now, I don't think the energy was kept properly on the dress. So we're going to make it even more visible. Add some shading and work on the tits a little bit more. All right, so now we can see, this is only the difference from the layer, extra layer, and without that extra layer, and it looks better because it's just fitting the light. It's making more sense. Now we're going to delete a little bit of that layer because just like on the face, there's some kind of light reflecting from the rest of the room onto her face. We're going to do the same thing with the dress. Some of the light is going to be coming back from the other side, and just add a little bit more detail, a little bit more depth to her whole body here. And one pretty basic mistake that was made was where the dress was exactly, I'm just going to make it fit the whole flow of the chest more. And one last thing I want to change is look at her eyebrows. Look at her eyebrows and tell me they look right. They don't look right. And it's not about the details, because obviously you rendered everything pretty nicely. You rendered the wrong things nicely. So the eyebrows should go like this. They should not be flat. That's not how it works. This is just simply not how faces are. None of them. Let's liquefy it and see how better she looks. And the last thing I wanted to do really bad was removing all of those details on her cupid's bow, because I feel like it's just so too much, and as I said, too much detail can sometimes be bad. I strengthened a little bit the muscle, the flesh area between the lips and the cheekbone, blended some things out, and also again removed the detail on the lips, because the whole lip area was just not structured properly, so I had to delete it and build the structure up on it again by just making some big shapes of color. Now we can clearly see the shape of the lips way better, and this is it. Now we can see the comparison, and you can clearly see that the main difference is the structure of the face and the way that color works for us now. In the previous version, she looked like she had some kind of black eye because of the wrong use of colors. Like I said, too much diversity in color contrast, too much hue contrast, too much saturation contrast, everything. Value contrast on the face. There can be contrast, a lot of different colors on the face, but they are not so strongly contrasted just like that. For those who don't know, I just finished my digital art course. So if you are looking for professional lessons, professional advice, you can get this course now on my website, aliciaprince.com. I've been working on it for 4 months straight, full time, just so I can finally create one accumulation of information. Everything that I know is in that course. I wanted to do it for such a long time, just so people that actually want to know how to draw in the semi-realistic style. They want to know my ways of doing stuff, my ways of drawing. They want to do that. They can now actually learn exactly everything I know. It's 30 hours full of knowledge, lessons, art studies on color theory, compositions, contrast, value contrast, and many more contrasts. There are so many contrasts that you don't know about, and I talk about all of them with examples, with drawings, with studies, with everything. So you will not be disappointed, because I poured soul, blood, heart, sweat, tears, everything into this course. I did everything in my power to make it as good as possible. So if it sounds like something for you, then check it out on my website, aliciaprince.com, and sign up become one of my students, join us. So yeah, thank you guys for watching and see you.